Hey everyone, Dabadoo here. So this is my first ever Path of Exile build video. I hope you enjoy it. This is for my starter character of the Harvest League. It's a elemental hit, cold converted melee Berserker, leveraging the new warcry, Ancestral Cry. And I'm having a really fun time playing it. I'm not done. And what I'm going to do right now is I'm just going to play a montage so you can understand how the character feels to play. One of the things that draws me to playing like a specific build or character is, one, it has to be kind of like hipster as fuck. Two, it has to be a little original and cheap to build. And there's like room for growth as well, so you can invest money into it and make it even more powerful. And it has to be satisfying to play and engaging. Not everyone wants that. You know, this character is kind of like driving a manual car as opposed to, like, you know, in an automatic that just like blows up the screen. So, you know, to each his own or her own. You know, enjoy the montage with the epic music at the end. All right, I'll be back. Hey all, I hope you enjoyed that epic music at the end. Alright, so let me deep dive into the character. So for those that are veterans to Path of Exile, you don't need to sit here and listen to me talk for 10 minutes. You can just check out the Path of Building links. That's probably more effective. For newer players, or for people that just want to listen to me talk for 10 minutes, I'm going to kind of break down the mechanics of this build, why it puts out the damage it does, why it's so tanky, kind of how it works, and the required items. So the first required item is the Redblade Banner shield. This thing is incredibly powerful and cheap. If you're a Berserker and have this new Ascendancy Warbringer, which is super powerful, I would say that shield is one of the best in-slot items in the game. Every single time you warcry, you get full rage stacks, and that also can help you keep your Berserk up for a very long time if you juggle your warcries properly. Another required item for this build would be the Taming. I would say this is the second most required item. And then you have the Pandemonius. This is a bit expensive. It's like a few exalts, maybe more now. And it's really great. You know, you get that cold resistance, penetration. It blinds enemies, and so that it effectively increases your health pool. There's lots of benefits to this amulet. And then also I use the Hrimburn gloves. I'm not going to pronounce that again correctly ever. These are nice because they can convert some physical damage over to cold, and they make your cold damage ignite, and that's important to have the ignite on there because that's a more multiplier for elemental hit, and it's more increased damage from the taming as well. Also, it's pretty cool because you get your 40% conversion from these two passive skills, and you have 50% from this. Now, I actually don't do a lot of physical damage. Now, when you wear an Abyssus, you'll do more physical damage, and if you're building this character cheap, you'll probably start with an Abyssus. But the thing is once you start making some money, and you can get like a fancy chest, you can get a chest with enemies you kill explode, and that's physical damage. And because you're converting all that to cold damage, those undeath effects are even more powerful because you have a lot of increase to cold damage on your tree. So like that's really what makes the clear on this character work, is the undeath effects. You do not actually need an explodey chest though. The Herald of Ice, and if you start this character out as a league starter, which I did, like Herald of Ice is completely effective for just blowing up the entire screen. You don't need the explodey effect from this. However, when you're dealing with maps and you have an affix on a map that says enemies have a 70% chance to avoid elemental ailments, so you don't freeze them consistently, Herald of Ice doesn't get procced as consistently. And in that case, it's nice to have this chest. But this chest is kind of overkill. You don't need it. What's really important, I would say, is you want life. The chance to gain power charge on critical strike is also nice, and the flat critical strike chance is also nice. That's what's important. You don't need like an extra curse. You don't need all that. You don't need the increased dexterity, because this super sweet sword had adds cold damage with dexterity. I was trying to stack my dexterity in this character. It's completely unnecessary. Okay, so how does this character work? Well, my elemental hit, what it does is I do full cold damage, and every single time basically I hit something, it's going to be shocked already because of my skitterbots. It's going to be chilled because of my skitterbots. Also, my Pandemonius helps me chill enemies as well, and that's a max chill from the Pandemonius. And you get the ignite from this. And because things are already chilled, the AoE effect for elemental hit is bigger as well. And because I have Ancestral Cry, when I attack a monster, I basically have like, you know, I hit like multiple nearby enemies, which is helpful. Another cute little thing that I found out was, you know, this trigger Commandment of Force on hit. No one gives a shit about that enchant, right? Well, it's kind of neat because it's a strike apparently. So, which is useful because, you know, if I'm like jumping around like this, you know, it helps me blow up monsters. Why it helps me blow up monsters is because I don't have a lot of damage on my Leap Slam. I just have Leap Slam with Fortify, and I have Calling on here. Your sword, you want a jeweled foil, and all you really care about is like tier 1 attack speed, tier 1 critical strike, strike chance. That's really all you need. You can, you know, harvest craft and add cold to it. You know, this is a super sweet weapon. But your weapon doesn't need to be this good, and the you know, adds cold with dexterity. You don't need that. Now, if you harvest craft shit, you can do an insane damage. Like, let's say you use an essence to get like, you know, 60 plus dex on your belt. You get like 60 plus dex on your ring. I got lucky buying these boots. But, you know, if you, and then what you do on the tree is you get something like utmost swiftness. Like, you can be putting out a ton of additional flat damage. But, you know, that's a lot of work to do all that. You don't need to. This build already does enough damage. And I don't even have a curse on this character. If I had a better ring, you know, you could probably harvest craft like an assassin's, you know, curse on hit assassin's mark ring. But yeah, there's ways to increase the damage of this character ridiculously. So what are some more important things? Well, on your jeweled foil, it's a harvest craft. You want quality does not increase physical damage, +1 weapon range per 10% quality. That's very nice. You want to kind of stack weapon range on this character. It helps with the clear immensely. Also, AoE helps as well. So, you know, I have additional strike range from this. I have strike range from this. I have strike range from this. And I end up having, also with my, of course, Ancestral Cry, I have a ridiculous strike range with this character. It's like 20 or something like that. So, you know, I'll be hitting monsters like over here with my melee. And then because of the undeath effects with Herald of Ice, and the explodey chest, again, that's not necessary though. You know, you chain reaction blow everything up. And it's, you know, you don't take reflected damage from the Herald of Ice. In other words, my Herald of Ice is killing more stuff than my actual attack. One of the cool things and how you up the damage on Herald of Ice cheap is Bonechill. So Bonechill with my skitterbots, so I have this aura around them that makes everything chilled, right? And so Bonechill increases the damage taken by enemies based off of your chill effect. And my chill effect on my skitterbots is 112%. So what does this all mean? And this threw me for a loop because, you know, I was like doing the math and path of building. I'm like, oh man, based off of like how this is worded, I'm going to be doing billions of damage, because I was thinking, you know, if I have like a chill effect of 300%, and bone chill, like monsters would be taking like 300% more cold damage. It doesn't work that way. So the max amount of damage that a monster can take based off of bone chill is 30%. So this Pandemonius, this max chills monsters. A max chill is their action speed is reduced by 30%. So the bone chill and my skitterbots is, I think it's for the aura, it's a base 10% chill effect. So altogether, it's like a little bit more than 20% action speed reduction. So that means that monsters are taking 20% additional cold damage. Having a monster take 20% more damage of the type that you're doing is pretty effective, considering the fact that skitterbots are pretty cheap. Also, Bonechill is cool too, because it's also a cheap way to make your Herald of Ice do more damage. So, you know, before I could get my fancy explodey chest and stuff like that, I was just using Herald of Ice, and that plus Bonechill plus how I built my character would blow up the screen. Also keep in mind that Herald of Ice, like, that gets increased by Aspect of Carnage. This is a generic more damage multiplier, which is pretty effective. Okay, let's talk about cluster jewels. You don't need cluster jewels for this character. The closest cluster jewel to being necessary is this somewhat cheap one right here, which is an exerted attack medium cluster jewel, and you have lead by example and haunting shout. Lead by example is very, very nice because it basically gives you always on onslaught, which is very useful. It's just a way to intimidate enemies, so that's a 10% more multiplier. Now, in terms of taking this character further and up in them deeps, then I would suggest getting a large cold cluster jewel and trying to get blanketed snow and corrosive elements for the cold penetration. Now, this is a kind of expensive cluster jewel. This is probably like 4 exalts or something like that. It doesn't matter what the third node is. You don't even need one with 3, although it'll save you some skill points. In terms of the other branching path for the cluster jewel, I decided to get area damage because I was really liking investing in my area of effect, because that makes my Herald of Ice go big, and it makes my elemental hit go big too. This AoE cluster jewel was a way to go because it was a way to squeeze in a bit more life on the character and increase my area of effect. And in terms of a life cluster jewel, you don't need one. Again, there's plenty of ways to get life on the tree, but you know, if you have the extra currency, then I would suggest getting a Peace Amidst Chaos life cluster jewel because they're super cheap, and they're really effective for this character because you're a strike-based character, so you are stationary. You know, when you're attacking, you can't move and attack at the same time. Armor is very, very nice for this character. It adds to your survivability, and that's one of the reasons why Abyssus is kind of cool, because it has a bunch of flat armor on it. So here, let's go take a look at my physical damage reduction. See, it goes up to 86, and that's without Molten Shell being procced. Armor's great. Now, one of the ways that you increase armor is getting Soul of Steel, which is a little expensive because it requires golden oils to get this anointment. For most of this character's life, I was actually using Elemental Focus as my anointment because it's super cheap, and it was very synergistic with this character with the increased chill effect, and also the duration of elemental ailments is really cool because that's almost like a more multiplier on your freeze. And as you saw in the video montage, like this character without using Flasks can chain freeze T16 bosses, but with the increased duration on freeze, it just made things more consistent. It's like doing 10% more damage, if not more than that. Warcries. In terms of investing in warcries, people might say, hey, take this. And yeah, go for it. That might make you even more tanky. I like this because, you know, I was trying to make... I'm only level 94. Maybe if I get more skill points, maybe I'll look into going on this path. I did use this for the longest time, but I thought it was best to put these points elsewhere. What's important really is just to get your warcries out fast, because you got to be warcrying while playing, and you don't want to, you don't want to get stuck there warcrying when you want to be attacking. And what's great about this passive cluster is that you get warcry speed. A couple other neat little things that I do, and maybe this is just me because I'm old and I have old man reflexes, but as you notice, I have ASDF G for my potions here. I think they're supposed to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 normally, and that's closer to these keys as well. There's a lot of buttons to press in this build, so this build might not be for everyone. Why do I say that? So you got your Ice Golem here, you got your War Chief here, and you got your Molten Shell here. Alright, so let me go over the flasks to use. You want a Wise Oak. I think that's a great flask. And you want to try to level out your resistances. That's very, very important. That'll add to your survivability, and cold penetration is very important for this character. You want a Granite Flask. Reduced charges used is probably ideal. But you can get one with like, you know, get a 20% chance to get a charge on crit or whatever. What's important is a Granite Flask with increased armor during Flask effect. Bottled Faith. You don't need a Bottled Faith. As you notice, most of those boss kills, I didn't even use this. Now, what did I use for the longest time on this character? I used just a regular Sulfur Flask with freeze or curse immunity. So I had freeze immunity from one and then curse immunity from the other. And from these two flasks here. That'll be fine. That's super effective. And then you want a Diamond Flask, obviously. And I like using this Hybrid Flask here because it lets me do no regen maps. You can use an Instant Life Flask if you want. It's probably more effective. If you're an MLG player, you'd probably be doing that. But I'm not. In terms of getting life quick, this character seems to be pretty decent at it. Mainly because I've invested in Pain Reaver, which not a lot of people take. I took Pain Reaver because I didn't want to bother trying to fit in Life Leech or Mana Leech on the tree. I didn't want to try to get it in a Cluster Jewel. I didn't want to try to itemize for it. It was just a pain. It seemed like a pain in the ass. So I just like, you know, I got this Ascendancy and never looked back. And it's effective. Now, yes, you can increase the damage even more in this character, probably by taking Blitz or whatever, but then you'd have to try to figure out a way to get Leech. So with the Super Leech here, plus all my damage mitigation, you know, I don't feel that I need an Instant Flask. This is just fine. All right, let's talk about my Pantheon choices. And you don't have to use what I'm using for Pantheon, but I like these specific gods. So I'm using Soul of Aracali for my Greater God, and this is because you know, I take less shock damage. Also, increased recovery rate of life and energy shield if you stop taking damage over time recently. That's super powerful. I'm still working on increasing my chaos resistance. I'm just harvest crafting this belt. Add remove chaos. Hopefully I'll hit T2 or T1. Right now my chaos resistance is negative 15%. But if I can get this T1 or T2 as opposed to T6, then I'll have more chaos resistance. Also, I like Soul of Relikesh because bleeds catch you by surprise, and if you're not paying attention and you're moving your character around, even with a bleed immune flask, you will die sometimes. And for the longest time I was running an Abyssus on this character, and if you're doing a budget version of this character, you don't have a fancy Harvestcraft helm, then yeah, having Soul of Relikesh with an Abyssus is very, very nice. And I'm still having this. I'm still running this. Now, probably like if you're an MLG player and you're like really good and you don't have old man reflexes like me, this is probably more effective to take. But I just do this because fuck bleeds. Alright, so that's my Pantheon. In terms of bandits, I chose siding with Alara. You can also kill them all and get 2 skill points if you want. That should be fine. But the crit multi is nice. Now, if you're running an Abyssus, the crit multi isn't as necessary. But if you upgrade to a Harvest Craft, then squeezing in an extra crit multi is nice on the build. especially if you can't afford a Watcher's Eye with critical strike multiplier while affected by precision. Okay, so let's wrap up this video. What are some goals that I have for this character that I haven't reached yet? So the first thing is to double corrupt my gloves. You can double corrupt them by running Alva's Temple and get an Altar of Corruption, tier 3. Now, Hrimburns are pretty easy to get. You just buy a Hrim Sorrow for like a C or whatever, and a Prophecy for like a few C more, and you upgrade the Hrim Sorrow to a Hrimburn. And I would probably want like Elemental Weakness on hit, plus like added flat crit. That would be a great double corruption on my gloves. If I have more balls, double corrupt my chest. If I get like +2 skill gem levels to any of those skill tags for elemental hit, the damage would be nuts. But I'm too much of a pussy right now, and I don't have the currency to double cross this chest. But imagine running a level 25 elemental hit on this build. The damage would be off the charts. Get a better enchant on my helm. I really liked playing with the reduced rage loss per second. It really helped me manage Berserk. I almost had it on the entire map. And I was my clear speed was faster as well, because I essentially used Berserk as a makeshift Quicksilver Flask, kind of, which is kind of cool. If I ever become a true 1%er, which ain't gonna happen, I'm part of the proletariat that plays Path of Exile, I would probably get like an Alls with a Hatred aura for free, and then I put Hatred in my Enlightened slot here, and additionally, if you get a Watcher's Eye with Cold Penetration while affected by Hatred, plus critical strike multiplier while affected by precision, god damn. Yeah, the damage would be insane, especially if you're running it with a level 25 elemental hit. Yeah, you don't need that much damage. So those are the goals that I have right now for this character. I don't think I'm going to get an Alls or anything like that. I don't think I'm going to ever double corrupt this chest, but maybe better enchant and double corrupt these gloves here. Hopefully you like this video. Hopefully I didn't talk too long. And yeah, if you want me to make more of them, just post something and I will. Alright, thanks. Bye guys.